everyone, welcome here. In this video, I'll be showing you my everyday makeup routine. And in reality, it's not an everyday thing because I don't wear makeup every day. For this occasion, I'll be getting ready for a Christian meeting, so I am going to be putting on makeup. I just finished working, so I thought that I would make this video to kind of relax myself and just unwind for the day. Before doing my makeup, I just like to wash my face with a face wash bar from Recreator. They have a really good acne-prone skin face wash bar, and that just gets rid of all of the extra oils before putting on the makeup. I don't have too much makeup to begin with. I don't like using foundation, and I'm not a really big fan of big glam. I'm a very simple person. I don't like putting too much makeup on, and I only really use about 5 products. I try to also use non-toxic ingredients in my makeup products. Most of these are EWG verified, meaning that they don't contain toxic chemicals in them. And while I got ready, I thought that I would just share a few things about myself, especially for those new on this channel. I've seen some new subscribers around here. I feel like my face isn't complete without a good eyebrow, so I'm going to just start fluffing and shaping my eyebrows. I prefer this wooden one. It's more eco-friendly. I used a small angled brush from e.l.f. just to fill it in. I'm not really sure how you pronounce this, but it's spelled HOOMUSS. It's basically an eyeshadow, but I use it to fill in my brows. It was the only product that I could find without harsh chemicals in them. So just to share a little bit about myself, I was born in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, which is a small country in Central America. I came to the US when I was 5 years old, and I could only speak Spanish. Even though I was little, I was still capable of learning a new language, but it took me about 3 years to fully be able to speak it fluently and write it fluently. When I was in Honduras, I had a pretty good childhood. I was very happy, even though we didn't have much and I didn't live with my mom or my dad. My childhood was very fun. I spent most of my time playing outside, being with my cousin, being with the kids in the neighborhood, fighting with the kids in the neighborhood as well. And I actually thought my grandma was my mom. I called her mommy, and when my mom used to visit me, I thought she was like my aunt or something, so I would call her by her name. I wasn't very into studies. Actually, I never was into studies, but I studied from a very young age. I was told by many family members that I never liked to sit down. I never could sit down. I was a very active and energized kid. I preferred drawing. I preferred playing with my toys, but they always struggled to keep me sitting down and actually do my homework. I grew up with my cousin who is 9 months older than me. We were always together. We were inseparable. We were like peanut butter and jelly. We did everything together. There were some neighbors in Honduras that we were also friends with. There were siblings, a boy and a girl. And for some reason, the boy always bullied me. He would pull my hair, punch me in the stomach, all these different things. But my cousin, who was older than me, always came to defend me. Hey Siri. How do you say consentida in English? I'm trying to look for this word. I always use Google Translate because sometimes I find the words in Spanish, but I don't know how to say it in English. Okay, spoiled. I was actually spoiled according to Google Translate when I was a kid. And I think most of the reason was that I was born very preemie. I was born at 8 months, but I was born at 4 pounds. So that was tiny. And they said that they could like see my veins and everything. I was like a gecko. The doctors said that I also wasn't going to make it. I also was born with jaundice. I had a very difficult beginning in my life. So this brow is shaped. Now let's do this one. I like to use a Q-tip to kind of clean the outer edges. So as I was saying, I was spoiled because I was born preemie. I was born with jaundice. Eventually they found out until way later that I was also born hearing impaired. When I came to the US, I did not have glasses or hearing aids yet, but my mom thought that I was autistic because she would call my name and I wouldn't respond or I wouldn't turn around. And then when I went to go get a hearing test done, they told my mom that I was hearing impaired, which we all think that it was actually part of just me being a preemie baby. And fun fact, up to this day, I still don't wear my hearing aids. Sorry. I'm a very good lip reader though. That's a good benefit that comes with it. So I came when I was 5. I was put into English and Spanish speaking classes because that was the only way that I could pass my classes as a kid. But when I came to the US, my sister was already, I think, 9 months old. I never saw my mom pregnant. I never saw her belly grow, but I was able to see pictures from when my sister was in her belly. But I think it would have been a nice experience to see that. I was very excited to meet my little sister and to have her as a little baby sister because I always played with her. I was just always drawn to babies since I was little. Sadly enough, when I came to the US, my mom was together and had already married this man that ended up being a bad person, and he basically made my childhood miserable. And this happened from 5 years of age until 15 years of age. So my eyebrows are done. Now I'm gonna go in with the Honest Beauty primer. This is one of my favorite mascaras. I love it because it really does hold a curl. My eyelashes are really long, they just need to be primed, so anything with a primer really helps. I grew up in a household where there was a lot of domestic violence involved, a lot of abuse towards me and my mom. I won't go into too many details because I don't want to traumatize you. I'm gonna leave the justice to Jehovah God. But while I was here, I was introduced to a new culture, a new language. Everything was new to me, and it really did take me a while to get used to it because I was hundreds of miles away from the family that I grew up with and was born with. I actually skipped a whole part, so let me just retrace why my mom came to the US without me. So my mom was 21 years old when I was born. My dad was 18. He was a kid. My dad did not want to have a part in my life because, of course, I'm pretty sure he felt unprepared. It was unplanned, obviously, and my mom needed to find a way to sustain us and to have a better life. So she came to the US to come find the American dream, as they say. So based on the stories that I've heard, my mom left me when I was 6 months old with my grandma, my aunt, my cousin, and my uncle. So when I came to the US, I not only had to get used to the culture, the language, the people, but also living with my mom because I had not lived with her for the first 5 years of my life. And since my baby sister was around, obviously most of the attention was towards her, and I did not have a problem with that, but it was just so difficult having someone that you were around with all the time, 24/7, like my cousin, to having to share time and energy with someone else. The first stop that I made, or where I lived first, was in College Station, which was where my sister was born. And then from there we moved to Austin and we were there for a few years, and then we moved down south and we've been here ever since. Well, actually my mom went back to Austin recently and my sister moved to San Antonio, so now it's just me and my husband. Okay, so the eyelashes are primed. I'm gonna go ahead and do the mascara now, and then I curl. Even though I didn't have family here, we did have a lot of my mom's friends here. I always feel grateful for this one family that loved me so much. Can we just take a moment to appreciate these lashes? Girl, there was this family in Austin that really loved me and my sister. They made us feel like we were their daughters, honestly. We would go to their house all the time because my mom and her husband at the time were their best friends. And we went through different stages of life with them. We met them when they were dating and living together, and then we went to their wedding. We went through them having their first kid, even their second kid. And the most fondest memory of them was the fact that they were so loving towards each other. And that's something that I did not see very often at home. They were like the first family dynamic that I saw, and I thought to myself, this is possible. This is what a family is supposed to look like. They were always very respectful to each other. They helped each other around the house to do house chores. They worked as a team. They were just loving with each other, not in a physical way, but just more in a respectful and the way it should be, honestly. I forgot to put this cream that I recently bought at TJ Maxx. It is the Paula's Choice Weightless Body Treatment 2.0 BHA. And it has salicylic acid and antioxidants. It's supposed to help you with exfoliating your skin and just softening the rough patches of your skin. I do have bumpy skin and texture on my skin, not so much on my cheeks, but more like on my chin, my nose, and my forehead. So this is supposed to help with improving texture and tone. I'm actually going to put a little bit more right now because I like to mix this with my concealer. Since I don't like wearing foundation too much on my skin, I like to let my skin breathe, and I feel like anything that I put on my skin, I really feel it. So I've been using the Well People concealer. This is in the color 7C. So what I do is I mix any type of cream that I have, like a moisturizer or a sunscreen, like that, and then I kind of put a little bit with that and I mix it with my fingers. And then the places that I like to put it is just like in my under eye, on the edges of my nose, my chin, and then just like any little spots where I have redness. I don't like to completely put it all over my face. Like I said, it's just a little spots just to kind of make my skin appear more even. One of my fondest memories with this couple was when we would stay at their house. sometimes I think for weeks. I think the reason was because my mom and her ex-husband would have fights, and sometimes she would just take us to stay at their house for a few days or a few weeks even. But I think we also stayed at their house because we just needed a place to stay. I don't know if it was because we were looking for a new apartment or we were in the process of moving. I don't know. I just remember staying at this really big house that I was not used to living in a very comfortable bed that I was not used to having. I had a big bed and everything, not gonna lie, not gonna complain, but it was just so soft, like the cotton sheets and everything, you know, all for adults. Obviously I was a kid at the time, so I just had my kiddie sheets, and I'm pretty sure it was just not the softest and freshest fabric. So that was my first time that I experienced like a hotel-like experience with night in. And then at night before going to bed, we would take a shower and she would prepare us this sweet popcorn that I didn't even know existed, and up to this day I still like sweet popcorn. But I'm not talking about the candied popcorn, I'm talking about like the very light sweet one, like Chica Pop and things like that. That's what it tasted like. I'm not sure if that was the same one she would give us, but I love the smell of it, the aroma that it would send her whole house. And then they had this big TV where she would put us like Disney movies and princess movies, and then have like a little sleepover mat and pillows on the floor, and my sister and I would just lay down there, watch the movie, and then we would go up and just fall asleep. So now I have the concealer on my skin. My skin looks a little brighter and more even. I'm not trying to hide my skin, I just want to like even the tone. And then I have my Beauty Care Naturals bronzer. It's like very messy because I use it every day. I like to put like 3 dots going up like that, and then blend it with my finger. So when I was 15 years old, my mom and her husband separated finally, and then it took a few years for them to actually get divorced, of course. But at that time, I was just broken. I was a broken teenager. I needed a lot of mental help. I was depressed, and I was just very into myself. Like, I was like a little shell. When I would go to school, I would cry almost every day. I felt alone, and that's when my mom started taking me to a psychologist at 15 years old. Now, my first experience with the psychologist was not a good one because I would obviously vent and rant, and I ended up finding out that the psychologist was telling my mom everything that I was telling her, and I just did not like that, so I never trusted psychologists again. And it wasn't until I was 18 years old, I was in college, I was a little bit more matured and more mentally stable, that I decided to give it another shot. And then I started paying for some of my sessions, and that's when they diagnosed me with mild depression and PTSD. And then I recently saw the paperwork, and I also saw that she put ADHD on there as well. Sometimes I do put this Pixie eyeshadow lift max liquid eyeshadow. As you can tell, I'm not a beauty person, but I do like to kind of put a little shimmer on my eyelids. So I was 18 years old, I was in college, or I think even 17. Yeah, I was 17 when I started. I went to college to study American Sign Language Interpreting. Now, mind you, I did not want to go to college. If I did go to college, I wanted to study something like photography or something in the arts. And that was really the only thing that interested me, but I did not have any interest in going to college. But obviously, you know, your parents want the best for you, and they send you to college. I finished with an associate degree, but it took me about 3 years instead of 2 because some of the classes there were like old classes and the state had made some changes, so I had to go back and like add some more classes that I needed to be able to finally complete the whole degree. The last thing I'm doing is this lip pencil. This is not eco-friendly, but I still have it and I love the color, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. This is a lip pencil, so you're technically just supposed to use it to like line your lips, but I use it as a lipstick. It's like a matte nude color. As you can see, it's really pretty, very like nude brownish color, I would say, like taupe color. And then I'm just gonna finish it off with some lip balm. And that is it. I think that's my look. So as the last part of the story, I guess, of my life story. I will say that I ended up not doing anything with what I studied for, because now I'm an online teacher and I teach English to kids all over the US. There's some kids from up north and I love it. It's actually one of my favorite jobs. It's actually one of the best jobs I've ever had, so I'm grateful for that. And I really appreciate the fact that I ended up learning ASL, even though I wouldn't really do it as a job, but I would like to keep practicing it, and I do still know some words. So that is the final look. Now I'm more simple. I remember doing one of these videos a long time ago and I had like a red lip going on. My eyebrows were just too much, too overfilled, so I'm glad that I kind of learned a few things along the way. And I hope that you guys got to know me a little bit better. I know that most of it was very sad for the most part, but that's just how my life was. I promise you my life has gotten so much better, but I could probably tell you a little bit more on the next video.